Hi, you're listening to The Island of a Lost Pilot by Rajesh Bhatia, narrated by Deepak Agnihotri. Chapter 34, Island of the Lost Pilot. October 2008. Mr. Walker was in India with his team of experts. Ryan was in Australia and was being given intrinsic educational and social training by experts. The Indian experts had given their report, and on the basis of which Mr. Walker purchased a large factory building for his footwear manufacturing plant in Bhiwadi, Rajasthan, as this place was near Manesar, so that Shekhar was able to look after this unit along with his own factory. Shekhar was made the CEO. He was to visit Australia for a detailed training in already existing footwear units of Mr. Walker. The best equipment from all over the world was ordered, and the company was to start production within 1 year. The experts were very positive that Walker brand of shoes, already an established brand, will be extremely successful in India too. This was just a beginning, and Mr. Walker had already planned in his mind to set up his other businesses like food processing, tobacco and breweries also in India for Shekhar and his family. In the month of November 2008, Shekhar, Surekha and Rohan visited Australia and were given a very warm welcome. Ritu also accompanied them, but without her husband, as he was unable to take time from his busy schedule. They were the exclusive guests of Mr. Walker, and many functions were arranged in their honor. Ryan was not the same Ryan. He had become very much civilized and polished. Mr. Walker had employed experts for his education and coaching in different fields. He came forward and met them eagerly. He hugged Rohan and Ritu. He touched feet of Shekhar and Surekha, as he was specially taught about Indian customs. They toured with Mr. Walker and Ryan to have a look at his different companies and found him to be a far more rich man than they had thought about him. After 3 days, he handed them some documents with folded hands. The documents mentioned that from now onwards, Khanna family held a 35% share in his various companies. 35% shares were with Mr. Walker, and the balance 30% was the other shareholders' money. In fact, Mr. Walker had 70% share in his companies, and he had transferred half of his shares to Khanna family. This way, Khanna family and Walker family are now equal partners. Shekhar was given a position in the companies just below Mr. Walker's rank. Mr. Walker had changed his will, and in his new will, Shekhar will take his position after his death, and was also authorized to appoint anyone in his place whenever he desired. If something happened to Shekhar, the nearest deserving member of Shekhar's family was entitled to his position. Ryan had told his grandfather that he had tried to kill Rohan and Shekhar, but they were lucky. But when it was their chance to kill Ryan, which was very easy for them, the generous Shekhar had pardoned him and persuaded Rohan also for the same, and taken a risk of untying Ryan's ropes. On the other hand, if they had killed Ryan there and then, they would have explained Colonel Sayo, who reached there later to rescue them, that they had to kill Ryan because he was savage, and they did so in self-defense. As Shekhar had suggested, Mr. Walker had gone for DNA test, and it was confirmed beyond doubt that Ryan was his grandson. Ryan was alive only because of Shekhar, and hence Shekhar deserved this fortune. On the 4th day, they started for a surprise journey in Mr. Walker's jet. Mr. Walker wanted them to accompany him to the island where Rohan had found Ryan. Besides them, there were 7 more people from Mr. Walker's company. They were the secretary, 2 managers to manage their tours, 2 cooks and 2 attendants. They reached Hong Kong to spend the night in the Mandarin Hotel. To their surprise, Shekhar and Rohan found Ming and the colonel waiting for them. After the lunch, they reached at Raf Kai Tak Harbour, where a gleaming Casa C-212 Aviocar amphibian aircraft was waiting at their disposal. Mr. Walker had purchased it recently to make the journey to the island much easier for them. He told them that he intended to visit this island at least 4 times in a year. On 1st May, his birthday, he was born in 1935. On 28th July, Ryan was born on this day in 1982. On 2nd October, Andrew was born on this day in 1957. On 9th January, Andrew died in 1989. The plane started with a heavy drone. It rushed splashing the sea waters and was in the air soon. The inside of the plane was fitted with comfortable seats to seat 18 people. Within 1.5 hours, they reached the island. All of them got down. The time was 4:30 p.m. The whole island looked different. It was cleaned and was blooming with flowers. Farther from the beach, in the grassy field, some pattern was cut around the grass in the shape of very big letters. Ritu stopped to see the words. The words read, "The Island of a Lost Pilot." Mr. Walker told them that he wanted to purchase this island, but it was situated at such a place that neither Chinese nor Philippine government seemed to bother. Therefore, he himself renovated and named this island. These letters were visible from a flying aircraft, and he had also requested the Google people to include this island in their latest version of Google Earth. They moved further. The way to the hut was marked by signboards and the path was cemented. Beautiful flowers were planted in beds on both the sides of the 10 feet wide pathway. The pathway moved in between trees, and the trees were decorated with illustrations of various Bible events. Shekhar could see solar lampposts on both sides of the pathway and solar lanterns on the trees. They reached the hut. The hut was kept restored as it was, but the grave was marvelously constructed with expensive black granite stone, surrounded by magnificent cast iron railings and covered with a canopy. Beautiful letters giving the details of Andrews were engraved on the tombstone. Mr. Walker and Ryan went inside the railings and cleaned the grave. They had brought a lot of flowers and bouquets. Within no time, the grave was covered with flowers. Mr. Walker made a small prayer. A large stone tablet was seen erected outside the gate of the grave, as it appears in monuments, to give its detailed history. On this stone, a summary of Andrew and Ryan was given. Who were they? How they reached here? The death of Andrew, the lonesome years of Ryan, the appearance of Rohan by chance, the arrival of Shekhar, and their reunion with their families. All details were summarized and engraved along with the dates. Mr. Walker took them towards the right of the hut. Another hut was erected, which was a modern-day makeshift aluminium shed. He opened the door and invited them inside. The hut was dark from inside. Mr. Walker switched on the lights. LED bulbs lighted the whole of the hut. The hut had not all, but many facilities. There were 2 beds with folded beddings, blankets and bed sheets. Some chairs and a small table lay on one side. There were 2 racks full of food items, sufficient for more than 1 month for 4 persons. On one rack, telephone directories and some general books were placed. On a small table was placed a satellite phone. A file was placed on the table along with the phone, in which the use of the phone was detailed in about 24 important languages of the world. A large packet of all necessary medicines and their respective use was also mentioned in different languages. A small electric hot plate was also placed on a shelf with some utensils. Corrugated cartons containing about 500 liters of mineral water bottles were kept in one corner. One revolving pedestal fan was also standing in another corner. Mr. Walker informed that the whole of the rooftop was a solar panel and was able to supply sufficient electricity for use in the hut. He had given contract to a well-known solar lighting company, and the lights were the best, foolproof and time-tested. Once in 2 months, a group of people was sent by him to replenish the supplies and maintain the equipment. The idea behind all this was to provide help to any person or persons who would accidentally reach here, will neither die nor remain here for years. They will use the facilities and help will arrive soon. The NGO of Mr. Walker had started functioning. Soon they will get the permission to use the telecommunication satellites to locate any lost person on such type of lonely islands at any corner of the world. They returned to the grassy land. Chairs were set. They sat for some time and had coffee, snacks, cold drinks, etc. Darkness fell and the whole island was automatically lighted with solar electricity stored in batteries. The lampposts near the grass-made letters were so placed that the lights illuminated the letters nicely. The letters too were lined with small light-emitting diodes or LEDs, which were increasing the beauty of the letters to a very great extent. A lamppost illuminated a stone tablet which they had not seen earlier. Shekhar went near it to have a look on it. Its matter was similar as in the tablet near the grave, but in slightly elaborated form. It read, The Island of a Lost Pilot. This island is named after Andrew Walker, son of Mr. Oliver Walker of Australia. He got his aircraft crashed on 17th November 1988 and reached here with his 7-year-old son Ryan. Andrew was injured and died on 9th January 1989 due to unavailability of medical facilities. His 7-year-old son lived here alone for 18 years. Mr. Rohan Khanna of India also got his plane crashed on 21st March 2008 and reached here. Rohan's father, Mr. Shekhar, reached here in search of his son a few days later on 27th March 2008 and was also trapped here. After a few days, Colonel Xiao Zhao of Chinese Army and Mr. Ming, a pilot, rescued them. The grave of Mr. Andrew Walker is on this island, and his father, Mr. Oliver Walker, has made such an arrangement that any more lost person can easily contact the outer world and live here comfortably till the rescue team reaches here. This way, the soul of Mr. Andrew may find solace and peace. The pathway was illuminated in such a way that there was the feeling of being in a different world. Once again, they visited the grave, the huts, and the surroundings. The eerie sound of the wind and the sound of the waves far away in the sea, the mysteriously lighted pathway and grave, created a mesmerized feeling of melancholy. To remain there for more time was becoming difficult for all of them, and they moved towards the seaplane. Ryan's courage to live here for 18 years, since from his childhood, was an out-of-this-world act. The plane was in air again and circled on the island. They looked below. The letters, "The Island of a Lost Pilot," were plainly visible along with the illuminated grave, hut and the serpentine pathway. A high-flying aircraft may lower down due to curiosity. A low-flying aircraft will never be able to miss this wonderful scene. "May his soul rest in peace," said Surekha. "Amen," said everyone.